Chosen one. Listen carefully. Everything around you may seem ordinary right now. The sounds, the scrolling, the silence. But heaven has interrupted this exact moment for a reason. This is not random. This is divine interception. You are in danger. Not the kind the world can see, but the kind heaven cannot ignore. A silent trap has been built around your spirit, layer by layer, whisper by whisper, while you've been distracted and weary. But heaven says, enough. The call has gone out. It reaches you now because your destiny cannot afford another delay. Something has been watching you, studying your steps, waiting for you to grow tired enough to quit. But God saw it, forming long before it reached you. The reason you are hearing this now is because divine mercy is still active over your life. Heaven's plan is already moving to pull you out. But you must stay awake and respond. You felt the tension, the weight on your chest, the pressure, the sense that something unseen presses against you. You've been pushing through, pretending everything is fine. But your spirit knows better. Deep inside, something has been warning you that not all is well. That is the voice of the Spirit, shaking you, awake from slumber. Do not silence it. As written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 2, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. The storm is real, but so is the presence of God within it. The waves are rising, but they cannot drown you because heaven walks beside you. You have been marked for protection, though the world has tried to convince you otherwise. You are not alone. Listen, pressure is the sign that heaven is pushing something out of you. Fear, compromise, false attachments. The shaking you feel is not punishment, it is preparation. What feels like danger is the alarm of deliverance. Still, you must choose. Danger, ignored, becomes destruction. Accepted. God will not allow his chosen to sleep through rescue. You cannot mix divine purpose with worldly comfort. The more you cling to comfort, the more your spirit aches, because comfort is not your assignment. Calling is. Every sleepless night, every tear, none was wasted. Heaven recorded every sigh. The enemy fears the moment you remember who you are. When a chosen one remembers, all chains break. You were not designed for confusion, but created to carry light, to break cycles that bound your lineage. Your survival is not by accident. You've been kept alive because your time to arise has come. The danger cannot destroy you, but it can delay you if you stay passive. Heaven is issuing your call to action. Stand up spiritually. Begin to pray again. Even if your voice trembles, heaven responds to movement. If this message stirs your heart, know it is confirmation. You are being awakened. The same hand that formed the stars now reaches for you. God is not angry. He is guiding and preparing you for elevation. You were chosen to bring light into darkness. You are the interruption to generational pain. The world may call you broken, but heaven calls you appointed. Now, take this moment as a prophetic act. Like this message to declare that you are answering the call. Share it so others in silence can awaken too. Comment 77 below as your sign to heaven that you will not ignore the call, that you align with God's plan for your rescue and destiny. Subscribe, not from habit, but obedience, because what comes next will show you how to escape the traps designed to drain your destiny. Stay close to the voice that revives you. You are not powerless. You are not forgotten. You are the chosen one, standing at the edge of transformation. Danger does not define you. Destiny does. The waters will not drown you. The rivers will not overtake you. Heaven is with you. The plan of God is already moving. Now move with it. You stand in the doorway between fear and faith. Chosen one. Every step forward shakes the darkness that tried to hold you. Keep walking. The same God who warned you will now lead you into victory. Heaven watches as your courage rises. What once terrified you now trembles before your obedience. Every breath of faith summons angelic movement. You are not escaping. You are ascending into divine authority. Now, lift your eyes. The danger that once surrounded you becomes your testimony. The plan of God unfolds before you, steady and unstoppable. Keep moving. Keep believing. Your rescue has already begun. You can feel it, the invisible tension tightening around your days. What once felt normal now carries a strange heaviness, as though something unseen has been whispering lies to your soul. The enemy has been weaving silent traps, subtle enough that you almost didn't notice. But heaven exposes what hell designs in darkness. There is a plan meant to drain your strength, to fill your mind with restlessness and your heart with fear. Yet the light of God begins to reveal every snare that was built around you. You wonder why confusion comes in waves, why peace feels distant, even when life looks calm. That is the unseen trap. The enemy never begins with chaos. He begins with comfort that numbs your discernment. Slowly, he dulls your awareness, feeding you thoughts that sound like your own. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I just need to relax. Maybe I'm fine. But beneath that calm lies the quiet erosion of your focus, your faith, your fire. There are invisible threads around your emotions, pulling you toward old patterns and familiar compromises. You start to sense that something is off, but you can't name it. That's because spiritual warfare rarely announces itself. It hides beneath routine. But God is exposing the invisible. He is tearing the veil off deception, what you could not see before. He now forces into the open, as declared in the book of Psalms, chapter 50, verse 15. Call upon me in the day of trouble. He will deliver you, and you shall glorify me. You have been given authority to cry out, to call upon the name that splits through the darkness. The danger surrounding you is not meant to destroy it, is meant to drive you back to the voice that saves. This is why God allows awareness to rise now. Not to frighten you, but to awaken you, because you cannot fight what you cannot see, and you cannot overcome what you refuse to confront. Heaven does not panic. Heaven reveals. And revelation always comes before deliverance. You are beginning to see who has been standing near you, but not for you. Which thoughts were planted, but not born from your spirit. Which paths seemed right, but led to exhaustion. Awareness is the first miracle of this rescue. The unseen trap is not outside of you. It starts in the mind. It begins when you accept thoughts of defeat and treat them as truth. The danger was never only about circumstances, it was about influence. The battle is for your agreement, because the enemy cannot destroy what God protects. But he can manipulate what you believe. If he can convince you that God has forgotten you, then he doesn't need to chain you. You will cage yourself with disbelief. Yet here is the breaking point. Light cannot be hidden once revealed. God is turning every hidden snare into a stepping stone of wisdom. You will learn to see before the trap is set, to discern before the confusion comes. What once deceived you will no longer move you. Your awareness is becoming your shield. You will notice changes now, conversations that no longer sit right, places that suddenly feel heavy, moments that urge you to withdraw and think. That is discernment activating. Don't fear it. Let it sharpen you. The unseen trap loses its power the moment you recognize it. In this unveiling, you will also understand that danger does not mean defeat. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. God is showing you what was meant to harm you so that you will never fall for it again. Each exposure is protection in disguise. Each revelation is mercy. The unseen trap can no longer hold you, because the light that covers you is stronger than the shadows that stalk you. You are learning to see the enemy's tactics before they reach your heart. You are stepping into a new awareness where peace is not ignorance but insight, not blindness but clarity. The hidden net has been cut. The truth has found you. You begin to breathe differently now. Awareness feels like light pouring into closed rooms of your soul. Every hidden scheme loses strength the moment you recognize it. What once bound you in confusion now becomes instruction. The air shifts around you. Peace returns, not as emotion, but as authority. You start walking with sharper vision, sensing traps before they appear. Heaven is training your discernment for battles you didn't know existed. The unseen trap dissolves under revelation. You no longer walk blindly, you walk guarded by wisdom. Every step now echoes freedom. The darkness that studied you has been outsmarted by the God who teaches your hands to war. You can sense it, the spiritual pressure around you, tightening again. The atmosphere shifts, not against you, but because of you. The moment your spirit awakens, darkness begins to lose its grip. The enemy does not attack the sleeping, he attacks the rising. That's why your thoughts have been louder, your emotions heavier, your distractions stronger. Hell studies your focus, searching for weak points, while heaven watches your endurance, preparing to crown it. This is the battle for your mind. It's not fought with weapons, but with whispers. Lies disguised as logic. Fear disguised as caution. The enemy's favorite tactic is subtle. He doesn't tell you you're worthless. He just asks, "Are you sure you're chosen?" He doesn't shout, he suggests. But those suggestions, if entertained, become beliefs that cage your purpose. God's plan is to break that cage and teach you to think as heaven thinks. The storm inside your thoughts is not random. It's an indicator of value. What is heavily attacked is heavily anointed. Your mind is a battlefield because your destiny is a threat. But even in chaos, God speaks order. Even in confusion, He releases clarity. You are not fighting for victory, you are fighting from victory. The writings of David in the Psalms declare, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear?" Fear thrives in shadows, but light exposes the liar. When you remember who walks beside you, fear loses its footing. The same presence that warns you also guards you. You are not alone in this mental storm. Heaven stands within it, whispering, "Calm. Now breathe." Let peace become your response to chaos. The enemy cannot read your thoughts, but he can hear your silence. That's why you must speak truth out loud. Declare faith until the atmosphere bends toward it. Speak light until your mind aligns with heaven again. Words are not small, they are spiritual forces, shifting what cannot be seen. And now, chosen one, take this moment to anchor your declaration. Comment, "My mind is guarded." And do not write it as a routine phrase. Write it as a covenant. When you type those words, you announce that your thoughts no longer belong to fear. You set a spiritual boundary. You tell every unseen force that your mind is under divine ownership. It becomes a prophetic act of warfare, simple to the eye, but thunderous in the spirit. Heaven will witness it, and darkness will recognize it. Because when you say, "My mind is guarded," you are not speaking wishfully. You are enforcing divine law. You are declaring that the peace of God surrounds your thoughts like walls of light. You are saying, "Confusion, you no longer belong here. Fear, you no longer have permission to speak." Every word becomes a key, locking your identity into truth. This is how deliverance begins, not always in a dramatic moment, but in a decision to guard what God has renewed. Every time you choose peace over panic, faith over fear, truth over lies, the battlefield shifts. The mind that once betrayed you begins to serve you. The same thoughts that once wounded you start to work for you. So, hold your position. The battle is fierce because you are near a breakthrough. Heaven is not silent, it is strategic. The light you carry terrifies darkness precisely because it's pure. Don't run from the noise in your mind, rule over it. God is teaching you to command storms with stillness, to silence voices with truth, to protect destiny with discipline. You are not losing your mind, you are reclaiming it. And from this point forward, every thought that once broke you will now build you. You begin to notice peace arriving before understanding. It's not the absence of thoughts, but the alignment of them. Your mind no longer runs wild, it begins to listen. Stillness becomes proof that heaven's order has entered. That stillness is not weakness, it's authority. When your mind bows to peace, every spiritual disturbance loses its footing. The calm inside you becomes a command to chaos. This is how true warfare sounds: quiet, but unstoppable. Memories that once triggered pain now trigger gratitude. You realize those moments didn't break you, they built you. Every scar becomes evidence of survival. Every disappointment turns into a teacher of wisdom. Your history transforms into strength. Faith sharpens your perception. You no longer chase signs, you carry them. You begin to sense divine direction in silence and assurance in waiting. What once felt like delay now feels like divine timing, wrapping around your steps. And as this transformation settles, your confidence shifts from self to spirit. You understand that safety doesn't mean isolation, it means connection to God's voice. That connection becomes your shield, your guidance, and your daily deliverance. The battle for your mind is not won by force, it is won by attention. Every thought you allow to linger becomes a seed, and every seed you water grows into reality. The enemy knows this, which is why he fights not for your possessions, but for your focus. He does not need to destroy your life if he can distract your heart. The war is subtle, fought in moments when you are tired, when your guard is low, when your confidence flickers. It is in those moments that whispers come small, quiet, deceptive, and if unchallenged, they grow louder until they sound like your own voice. But God is training you to recognize that voice and answer it with truth. You are not your thoughts, you are the guardian of them. The mind can be a battlefield or a sanctuary. depending on who you allow to dwell there. You were not created to live as a prisoner of fear, anxiety, or guilt. You were created to rule over them, to bring order where confusion reigns, to command peace where chaos tries to live. This battle is holy. It is not about intelligence or logic. It is about alignment. The Spirit of God speaks in quietness, and the enemy speaks in noise. The world teaches you to fill silence with distraction, but heaven teaches you that silence is where revelation hides. To win this battle, you must learn to be still long enough to hear what God is saying. There are moments when the fight feels invisible but exhausting. You go through the day smiling on the outside, yet internally, you are negotiating peace with your thoughts. You are not weak for feeling that tension. You are human. But you are also chosen. The strength of your spirit is revealed not in how loudly you shout, but in how consistently you return to truth when lies come knocking. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 5, "We take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." This is more than discipline. It is deliverance. Every time you refuse to agree with fear, you reclaim territory in your mind. Every time you replace doubt with declaration, heaven reinforces your victory. The mind is the gate of destiny, and your ability to guard it determines the clarity of your calling. You may think you are fighting against yourself, but in truth, you are learning yourself. Every intrusive thought reveals an unhealed place. Every wave of anxiety exposes a wound that God wants to mend. The battlefield becomes a classroom, and pain becomes a teacher. What once frightened you now informs you. You are learning the patterns of attack so you can break them before they repeat. This training is divine. You are being equipped not just to survive your storms, but to discern them before they begin. Every mental struggle you overcome sharpens your spiritual vision. The thoughts that once tormented you become tools that remind you where you've come from. The same battlefield that once weakened you now strengthens you because it has taught you endurance. There is a sacred shift happening within you. The more you guard your thoughts, the clearer your spiritual hearing becomes. The more you discipline your focus, the more your spirit becomes sensitive to the movements of God. You begin to see how every distraction was designed to pull you off course. You begin to notice how quickly peace leaves when you entertain certain conversations or dwell on certain memories. And slowly, obedience becomes your protection. This is how God wins the war for your mind, through awareness. Not panic, through wisdom. Not fear. He teaches you to observe rather than react, to discern rather than assume. The more you watch with clarity, the less power the enemy has, because exposure is defeat to the forces of deception. Now, your thoughts start to transform from noise into navigation. The storms within no longer drown you, they direct you. Each conflict reveals a calling. Each moment of confusion reveals an invitation to draw closer to truth. You are being refined through renewal, strengthened through surrender, and prepared for greater revelation. The battle for your mind is not punishment, it is preparation. God is fortifying your inner world so that nothing external can shake it again. You are learning to live from the inside out, where peace begins as a whisper and grows into authority. The war may continue, but victory is no longer uncertain. You have learned to command your thoughts, to invite God into the conversation, and to rest in His sovereignty even when your understanding trembles. You are not losing control, You are regaining command. The battlefield is not your enemy. It is your evidence that heaven trusts you with transformation. There comes a moment, chosen one, when your mind begins to quiet, but your heart starts to stir. You feel a pull not from fear, but from purpose. The battle that once raged inside your thoughts is beginning to settle, and what remains is a gentle awareness. God is still guiding you. You've survived the noise, and now heaven begins to build something new within you: clarity, strength, and an understanding that your life has always been part of a larger story. Peace does not mean that storms disappear. It means that you have learned how to walk through rain without drowning. The voice of God still leads, softly, almost like a whisper through the wind. He calls you to rise, not just for yourself, but for others who are still lost in the same darkness you have escaped. Because your victory is not meant to end with you, it is meant to ripple outward, like light spilling through cracked doors. Every word that has reached you so far, every revelation you have received, is part of that light. You are being equipped, strengthened, and awakened, not just to survive, but to serve. You are not merely being rescued, you are being positioned. And in this new chapter, your obedience becomes a bridge for others. The prophet Isaiah wrote, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Then, you are that light. The moment you were chosen, heaven placed a spark inside your spirit. That spark is meant to spread, to ignite hope in hearts that have forgotten how to believe. When you rise, others will rise too. When you speak truth, confusion begins to crumble around those who listen. Now, pause for a moment and breathe. Feel how far you've come. Every word spoken into your soul, every truth whispered into your heart, it has been God's way of building you from the inside out. And if these words have reached you, if they've given you strength, hope, or peace, then you have already been part of a divine exchange. You have received freely, and the beauty of light is that it grows when it's shared. That is why this space exists, to carry light across countless unseen distances, to reach those who have no one reminding them that they are chosen too. But for this light to continue flowing, it takes more than one flame. It takes a family of flames, people whose hearts resonate with heaven's mission. If you have felt this message, stir something deep in you. Consider being part of that mission. When you tap like, you are not pressing a button, you are striking a match. Each spark tells heaven, keep the fire burning here. And for when you share, it is as though you are sending a lantern down a dark river. Someone lost will see it and find their way. When you subscribe, you build an altar of consistency, a place where heaven can speak to you again and again without interruption. And if your heart feels moved to donate, do it as one pours oil into a lamp freely, tenderly, to keep its flame alive. It's never about amount, it's about love. Every drop of generosity becomes a light carried to another soul waiting in silence. You are not funding words, you are fueling hope. It is never required, never demanded. It is simply an invitation to take part in something eternal. When you give, you aren't paying for messages, you're participating in miracles. Your like is a spark. Your share is a river of light. Your subscription is a doorway to encounter. Your donation is oil that keeps the fire alive. And through all of it, you become more than a listener. you become a keeper of flame. So, let your response be pure, voluntary, and joyful. If this message has lit something inside you, keep it burning, help it travel, because someone, somewhere, is still waiting for their light to arrive. The light you nurture today will outshine every shadow that once terrified you. Each act of kindness becomes a ripple of hope. Heaven keeps record of every silent yes whispered from your heart. As your flame grows, heaven entrusts you with greater reach. What began as survival becomes ministry. You are no longer chasing light, you are carrying it into places others fear to enter. Soon, you'll look back and realize the storm was your training ground. What once threatened to drown you now reflects your strength. The waters that frightened you became the mirror of your transformation. There is a sacred stillness that follows obedience. You've learned to stand firm, to guard your mind, and to let the voice of God lead you through confusion. Now heaven shifts the season once again. The quiet that surrounds you is not absence, it is alignment. The angels who ward for you are still near, holding back what once threatened to destroy you. Something holy is taking place behind the scenes. You may not see it yet, but your atmosphere has changed. Heaven is moving resources, rearranging connections, and commanding time itself to work in your favor. When God begins to move, He rarely announces it. He moves in whispers, through timing, through divine nudges that only a listening heart can recognize. This is the season where your faith must see beyond your sight. The rescue is already in motion. Heaven is writing your deliverance in real time. As the prophet Elijah spoke in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 41, "Go, eat and drink, for there is the sound of heavy rain." And that sound, chosen one, is for you. It is the sound of restoration coming after drought. The rain represents provision, clarity, and divine renewal. Heaven is not only saving you, it is restoring what was lost while you were fighting. There is a stirring in your spirit that feels like anticipation but also like holy discomfort. That's how you know breakthrough is near. God often allows the final moments before change to feel uncertain, so that faith, not control, becomes your anchor. You may sense restlessness, like your heart is being stretched. That is heaven enlarging your capacity to receive. In this divine rescue, you are not just being pulled out, you are being carried upward. The angels assigned to you are repositioning things you didn't even know were misplaced friendships, opportunities, seasons. Every delay you faced has been recalculated to align with God's timing. Nothing is wasted. Even what you thought was failure is becoming foundation. There were moments when you wondered if God was silent. But silence is not distance, it's direction. Heaven has been building your endurance, because the next season will require more capacity, not less. You will handle what once would have broken you. Now listen carefully. This message is not coincidence. Heaven has paused your moment again to confirm that the rescue is unfolding even as you read. The heaviness you've felt lately has been the weight of transition, but it's lifting now. The air around your life is shifting. Yet, heaven asks for your response, not in panic, but in faith. Faith is action. Faith speaks, even before sight confirms. So, right now, seal this moment with a prophetic sign. Comment the number 222 below. 222 carries the prophetic meaning of divine alignment, confirmation, and covenant peace. When you type 222, you are saying, I trust God's sequence. I agree with His timing. I choose peace over panic. Engine. Think of it as planting a white flag in the spiritual battlefield, not to surrender to fear, but to surrender to divine order. It's a declaration that says, I release control and welcome God's alignment. Each number becomes a symbol, a spiritual signature that heaven recognizes. As you align through faith, you'll notice peace replacing panic, clarity pushing away confusion, doors opening softly like dawn before sunrise. The angels of alignment begin to adjust what's out of place, bringing restoration to where you thought it was too late. When you comment 222, you're saying to heaven, I'm ready for alignment. I'm ready for peace. I'm ready to flow with your timing. It's not noise. It's a whisper of faith, echoing beyond the screen into eternity. This moment is not small. It's sacred. Every heart that obeys creates a ripple that heaven multiplies. You are stepping into a rhythm older than fear, older than chaos, a rhythm called divine order. The rain has started. The alignment has begun. Heaven is already ahead of you. You begin to notice small signs that heaven is near unexpected calm in places that once stirred anxiety, sudden assurance where confusion lived. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that the alignment has already begun within you. Every gentle shift is evidence of divine choreography. What once seemed delayed now reveals perfect rhythm. Heaven's timing was never late. It was deliberate. The spaces of waiting were training grounds, shaping your endurance for what's next. Now, peace becomes your compass, not your reward. You no longer chase outcomes, you follow presence. The rain of restoration continues to fall, watering seeds of obedience planted in faith. And slowly, your entire life begins to echo the sound of divine order, fulfilled. Every revelation changes how you see the world. Once you learn to recognize divine alignment, you start noticing how every piece of your story connects. The seasons that once felt wasted now reveal their purpose. What you thought were detours were actually divine redirections. Every delay, every no, every closed door was an invisible wall guiding you back to the center of God's plan. Nothing was random. Everything carried instruction. This is how heaven teaches wisdom, through lived experience, through moments that seem empty but are pregnant with unseen purpose. The chosen always learn the language of heaven through process, not shortcuts. Every battle sharpens your perception. Every disappointment breaks the pride that once blinded your discernment. You begin to see differently, love differently, and trust differently. You start recognizing that divine order was never about control, it was about cooperation. The Spirit of God moves like the wind unseen, unpredictable, yet undeniable. You cannot contain it, but you can yield to it. And when you yield, you realize that obedience is not loss, it is protection. God's instructions often look like inconvenience until you see what they saved you from. That's why spiritual maturity is built not on how loudly you pray, but on how quickly you obey. According to what is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 6, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. This scripture is not just guidance, it's geometry of the soul. It teaches you how to walk without stumbling, even in unseen terrain. Acknowledging God in everything you do doesn't mean you lose freedom. It means you finally find direction. Because when your will and His will begin to agree, confusion loses its authority. Now you begin to understand why the earlier storms were necessary. The shaking forced you to loosen your grip on things that were never meant to define you. You used to chase validation, but now you crave alignment. You used to fear endings, but now you recognize them as divine beginnings, disguised as loss. The same pain that once broke you has now become proof that your heart has been tempered by heaven. Peace no longer feels like silence, it feels like clarity. You don't need to know every answer, you just need to know His presence. You've learned that direction flows not from striving, but from surrender. The quieter you become, the clearer you hear. That is how the Spirit trains the chosen to hear the whisper of God, even when surrounded by noise. You are learning to walk by faith, not by sight. Because sight sees what is happening, but faith sees why. The unseen patterns of God's plan begin to reveal themselves in subtle ways. Divine timing, unexpected encounters, words that arrive precisely when you need them. You begin to recognize the rhythm of heaven, steady, patient, intentional. Every step you take now carries weight in the spiritual realm. You walk slower, but stronger. You speak less, but with more authority. Your silence is no longer emptiness, it's filled with discernment. The things that once made you anxious no longer have permission to move you, because you have learned that peace is not fragile, it's fierce. It guards your mind like armor. Even when challenges arise, you respond differently. You no longer panic at the first sign of conflict. You pause, pray, and perceive. You understand that what comes against you is often a mirror revealing what still needs healing within you. You've stopped asking, "Why me?" and started saying, "Teach me." That shift alone marks your graduation from survival to stewardship. This is the quiet transformation of the chosen, when storms no longer define your mood, but refine your mission. The peace you carry now intimidates the chaos that once controlled you. You've become a living declaration that alignment is possible. That order is not an illusion, but a lifestyle. And in that stillness, heaven begins to whisper new instructions, assignments for the days ahead, visions for territories not yet reached. You no longer react to darkness, you anticipate it. Knowing light always arrives first in you, you have entered the stage where awareness turns into authority. You no longer wait for signs, you create them through obedience. The power that once rescued you now begins to work through you. You are not the same person who once trembled at the thought of uncertainty. You have become the evidence of divine process, the walking testimony of God's precision. This is not the end of your story, it is the unveiling of purpose. Heaven trusted you with danger, so it could entrust you with dominion. Every scar is now a seal of authority. You walk as one who has been through the fire and found gold within the ashes. Light has a way of revealing everything that once hid in the shadows. When divine order begins to shape your life, you start seeing people, places, and intentions for what they truly are. It's not always comfortable. Illumination can feel like loss because it exposes what cannot remain. But exposure is never cruelty, it is clarity. God reveals not to embarrass, but to liberate. The truth may sting, but it also saves. This is the moment heaven begins to separate what is attached to you from what is assigned to you. There are things, relationships, and habits that were good for a season but dangerous for your destiny. Their time is over, and that ending is mercy in disguise. The light does not come to shame, it comes to sort. What once glittered with promise now shows its true texture under divine inspection. You begin to see motives you once ignored. Words that sounded kind now echo with emptiness. The people who once drew near begin to grow distant, not because they are evil, but because they no longer align with your calling. The closer you walk with light, the less compatible darkness becomes. And even if you try to hold on to what's fading, heaven will lovingly loosen your grip. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 15, verse 19. If you return, I will restore you, and you shall stand before me. If you extract the precious from the vile, you shall be as my mouth. And to extract the precious from the vile, that is the essence of discernment. It is not judgment, it is refinement. It's learning to distinguish between what feels right and what is righteous. The chosen must master this art, because destiny demands purity of perception. A blurred vision cannot carry a clear purpose. You begin to realize that discernment is not suspicion, it's compassion with wisdom. It's the ability to see beyond behavior and understand spiritual origin. God trains you to read atmospheres the way others read words. You sense peace where He is present and unease where He is not. You no longer chase crowds or noise. You crave presence. The moment of exposure is not about others, it's about elevation. God is teaching you what to release, so your hands are free to receive. Some relationships must end quietly. Some doors must remain closed even when you still have the key. Every act of letting go is an act of trust. Every release makes room for replacement by design. At times, this clarity can feel lonely. When illusions fall away, silence follows. But do not fear the quiet, it is proof that heaven is clearing your path. Isolation is often the final classroom before promotion. It's where God becomes louder than opinions, where you rediscover that His approval outweighs applause. When false connections fall away, true ones begin to appear. God sends people who speak to your purpose, not your pain, who pray for your progress, not your performance. You will know them not by their words, but by the peace their presence brings. Heaven always replaces subtraction with multiplication. The unmasking season tests humility. You cannot despise those who hurt you and still claim freedom. Forgiveness becomes the filter that keeps your discernment pure. Without forgiveness, revelation turns into resentment. God removes vials, but He also restores vision. You are being trained to see through mercy, not bitterness. You now understand that clarity costs comfort. Every truth you learn demands an old illusion to die. But each time something false fades, something authentic is born. You are evolving from one who reacted to one who perceives. What once shocked you now teaches you. What once wounded you now warns you. This process is sacred. Heaven exposes not to humiliate, but to heal. The light never destroys it, refines. You are being sculpted into someone who cannot be deceived easily. Someone whose heart discerns truth before the mind processes it. As the light grows brighter, your perspective widens. You see that everything happening, every loss, every unveiling, every strange silence is part of divine choreography. You are being positioned for a higher trust, one that requires clarity without arrogance, power without pride. This is the moment of exposure, but also of empowerment. What God reveals, He redeems. What he removes, he replaces. The truth that once frightened you now frees you. The fog is lifting. The path is clear. The light has done its work, and you are ready for what comes next. And now, you walk lighter, unburdened by illusion, anchored in truth. What once hid now honors you. The light within no longer flickers, it stands, steady and unshaken, guiding every step forward. You have crossed through fire and found clarity. The moment of exposure has passed. And now, heaven invites you to covenant, to make your awareness into action. Knowing truth is not enough. You must walk in it. Discernment without decision leads back to confusion. The narrow path is calling you forward. And this time, you are ready to take it. This is the covenant of escape, the path that God lays before His chosen when the enemy's snares have failed. It is not a road of comfort, but of conviction. Every step forward requires a choice between familiarity and faith. The cage is open, but only obedience can help you step out. The ancient words recorded in Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, declare, I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your descendants may live. To choose life is not just to exist, it is to align. It means walking away from what no longer feeds your purpose. It means saying no to distractions that wear the mask of peace but carry the scent of delay. It means understanding that freedom is not absence of rules, but presence of divine order. You have been shown both paths, the way of reaction and the way of revelation. You have lived long enough under the weight of indecision. Heaven is not waiting for perfection, it is waiting for participation. The escape plan is not hidden anymore, it is written across your spirit. But you must move. You must act. Every step of obedience activates something that heaven has prepared in advance. Your delay does not change God's promise, but it can delay your access to it. The enemy cannot block your blessing, but he can distract you until you stop reaching for it. This is why heaven speaks so clearly now, so that your next step is not guided by emotion, but by revelation. You are not being called to run, you are being called to walk out. Freedom is a steady movement, not an emotional reaction. You are leaving the wilderness of confusion for the order of clarity. When you step forward, doors that resisted you will begin to yield. The ground that felt hard will soften under your feet. It will feel as though heaven itself is rearranging reality to make room for your obedience. Because it is. The atmosphere responds to surrender. You might still feel fear, but fear is not the enemy. It is the final echo of your old identity. It fades with every step you take toward truth. Courage does not mean you no longer feel afraid. It means you have chosen to walk with faith louder than fear. Now, seal this moment with an act of agreement. Type, I move forward, in the comments. Those 3 words are not empty, they are declaration. When you write them, you are declaring to heaven, I am done waiting for perfect conditions. I will obey now. You are announcing to the unseen realm that you are crossing out of hesitation and into alignment. Each word becomes a step. Each step becomes a gate. And as you type, something in the spirit responds. Chains break quietly when faith speaks loudly. I move forward becomes your covenant cry, the sound that marks transition from knowing to becoming. You are not escaping anymore. You are evolving. The person who entered the fire is not the one walking out. You are refined, resolute, and radiant with the mark of those who have seen God's rescue firsthand. The covenant is complete when your yes becomes action. So walk, even if your voice trembles. Move, even if your steps are small. The narrow path opens only to those who decide. Heaven has already gone ahead to prepare the way. The covenant is written, the promise is sure, and the next door will open to the sound of your obedience. You begin to sense peace, not as quietness, but as strength. It no longer feels distant, it feels internal, alive. Every decision aligned with God becomes fuel, turning hesitation into holy movement. This forward motion is not reckless, it's rhythmic. You now walk in step with divine timing. Every closed door you once mourned becomes evidence that heaven was steering, not withholding. You finally see that the path itself is the promise, and as you keep walking, the air around you feels lighter, your vision clearer. You no longer chase confirmation, you carry it. The covenant you spoke has taken root in your spirit. The escape is over. The establishment has begun. Heaven's plan unfolds. And this time, you walk beside it. You have crossed from danger into direction, from fear into faith. The storms that once defined your nights have quieted, and what remains is a steady rhythm inside you, the pulse of purpose. You now know that survival was never the end of the story. It was the beginning of stewardship. What God rescued, He now refines. What He refines, He releases. The Spirit begins to whisper again, not as warning, but as invitation. This time, the call is not to flee from danger, but to build something eternal out of what you've learned. You are being asked to become a vessel, a carrier of hope for others still lost in their storms. Every scar you carry now glows like a lantern. You are proof that light can live even in the ruins. The Word of God declares in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden." You are that city. You are that light. And the light must be tended to. It must be fueled. Fire burns brightest, not when it is loud, but when it is fed. This is why heaven stirs your heart now. Not just to receive, but to sustain. Every word you have heard, every truth you have embraced, was never meant to stop with you. You are called to keep the flame alive. And keeping the flame alive happens in many forms. When you like this message, you are not pressing a button, you are placing another stone upon the hill, helping the city of light stand taller. It is an act of agreement, a signal that says, "I believe this light should continue." When you share it, you become the wind that carries sparks into new corners of darkness. Somewhere, someone is drowning in silence, waiting for a whisper that says, "You can still rise." Your simple share becomes that whisper. It travels farther than you imagine, finding hearts that heaven has already prepared to receive. When you subscribe, it is like returning to a well that never runs dry. You're not following a voice. You're staying connected to a source that refills you when the world empties you. It is a decision to remain within reach of words that rebuild faith. And if your heart feels moved to donate, think of it as pouring oil into a lamp. You are not funding content, you are fueling continuation. You are helping the message reach more souls, keeping the lamps lit in countless unseen homes. Every act of generosity becomes a ripple that touches lives you may never meet, but heaven will never forget. Each action is sacred when done with sincerity. No one is required. No one is pressured. Love that is given freely becomes eternal. When you give, it's not a transaction, it's transformation. You are adding warmth to the fire that once revived you, ensuring others can find the same comfort when their nights grow cold. The light we build together becomes a bridge, a glowing path through the valley of shadows. And on that path, strangers become family. Wanderers find Direktion, and broken hearts rediscover the rhythm of hope. That's what your small act of faith supports, a network of light stretching across time zones, screens, and souls. If this message has spoken to you, let your response be your amen. Whether it's a like, a share, a subscription, or a quiet act of giving, let it be done with peace in your heart. No pressure, no condition, just a willing participation in the story. Heaven is writing through you. Because you are not merely supporting a message, you are becoming part of it. You are the continuation of every word that has healed you, every truth that set you free. And as you act, imagine this: a single candle placed in your hands, glowing softly with every share. Another candle lights with every gift. The flame grows steadier. Soon, the entire horizon burns with the reflection of faith. And you realize that you helped build that sunrise. So, if your spirit agrees, do what peace allows. Let your hands respond to what your heart feels. For when the chosen unite, even their smallest gestures echo in eternity. The city on the hill will never go dark as long as we keep the light alive. Together, the fire you've tended will guide countless others home. Each act of faith, no matter how small, becomes a spark in someone else's night. And when heaven looks down, it will see your light among many steadfast, gentle, eternal proof that love, freely given, never fades, only multiplies. There comes a moment after illumination when quiet returns, not the silence of absence, but the silence of completion. You begin to feel a sense of divine fullness, as though heaven itself exhales through you. The battles have lessened, the noise has softened, and you no longer live in reaction. You live in rhythm. What once felt like survival has become sacred stability. This peace is not passive, it is active, alive, watching, and aware. The Spirit begins to teach you how to maintain what you've built. Victory, after all, is not a single moment. It is a lifestyle. God doesn't just deliver, He develops. The light you carry now must be guarded, not out of fear, but with reverence. Because the greatest challenge after freedom is stewardship. What you've been given is holy, and holiness must be handled carefully. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Philippians, chapter 4, verse 7, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." That peace is now your watchman. It alerts you when something tries to disturb it. You've learned that chaos cannot enter a life protected by divine awareness. The same God who rescued you now teaches you how to remain unshaken. Peace becomes the new battleground. You fight to protect it, not to find it. You start to notice that storms still come, but they no longer pull you under. You walk through them differently, anchored, unmoved, carrying stillness like armor. The noise around you can no longer dictate the sound within you. The strength that once felt distant now flows through your breathing, your choices, your very presence. You don't have to prove you've changed. Peace proves it for you. In this stage, you begin to see how endurance becomes inheritance. The things that once exhausted you now empower you. You carry wisdom where you once carried wounds. Pain no longer defines you. It refines you. The very things that broke you are now testimonies in your hands, stories that breathe hope into those still walking through their own fire. You begin to understand that true deliverance is not escaping the battle, but learning to walk through it without losing your worship. Heaven whispers, new instructions, now less about rescue, more about responsibility. You've been entrusted with vision, with authority, with the understanding of how to stand between chaos and calm. You become a bridge for others, a living testimony that peace is possible, that transformation is real, without needing to speak. Your presence begins to shift rooms. You carry the quiet strength of one who has seen both storms and sunrise. You realize that the measure of spiritual maturity is no longer how loudly you declare faith, but how gently you carry it. The stronger your foundation, the softer your voice. Confidence in God never shouts, it radiates. You find yourself more compassionate, more patient, more discerning. You see people not as threats, but as stories still being written. And yet, even in this peace, humility remains essential. The moment you think you have mastered the journey, pride begins to creep in, disguised as confidence. So you keep returning to gratitude, the posture that keeps your heart open and your vision clear. Gratitude transforms protection into presence, peace into purpose. Each day now feels different. The air carries a weight of meaning. You no longer wake up searching for signs. You wake up with awareness. You start to live slower, noticing beauty in ordinary places, the way sunlight filters through your window, the quiet hum of life around you, the rhythm of your own breathing. You recognize that holiness hides in the smallest moments, and joy doesn't shout, it whispers. This is the crossroads of mercy and maturity, where faith stops being something you reach for and becomes something you live from. You've learned to rest without fear, to wait without worry, to move without rushing. You trust that God's plan no longer needs proof, it simply needs your participation. You've reached the point where peace is not an experience, but a calling. You have become the evidence that God's order brings wholeness, that surrender leads to strength, that stillness speaks louder than struggle. You carry the calm of heaven in the middle of a restless world. And that, chosen one, is how God's rescue becomes God's reign within you. Peace now walks beside you like a lifelong friend, quiet, constant, unbothered by noise. You no longer chase calm, you embody it wherever your feet touch. And in that stillness, heaven smiles. The rescue has become residence, and your life itself has turned into a living sanctuary of divine serenity. Peace has settled into you like sunrise, quiet, steady, unannounced. You no longer need to prove that you've changed. Your stillness speaks louder than any declaration. But even in this calm, heaven whispers again. It is not a warning this time. It is a reminder. The story is not over. You have not reached the end. You have reached the awakening. Every season of peace carries a new assignment. The Spirit does not rest where there is stagnation, it flows, creating movement where there was once stillness. Now that you have been refined, heaven prepares to release you, You are no longer being rescued. You are being deployed. Every revelation, every healing moment, every tear you once considered wasted is now your oil of wisdom. And that oil is meant to pour out. God begins to stir your spirit once more, not in fear, but in readiness. He whispers, "What I have given you must not stay hidden." You feel it, the quiet fire in your bones, urging you to move again. But differently this time, not as one escaping darkness, but as one carrying light into it. The world around you is aching, and heaven has written your name as part of its remedy. The Word of God reminds us in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 1, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted." And you are now that messenger anointed, not through position, but through process. Every hardship was your training ground. Every silence taught you how to listen. Every loss built compassion that theory could never teach. You are now both student and shepherd, wounded and wise, walking proof that redemption works. This next season is not about running ahead, it is about walking faithfully. Heaven moves with precision, not speed. The rescue prepared you for revelation, but revelation now prepares you for responsibility. You are being positioned in places that once intimidated you. You are being sent to people who need the same grace that rebuilt you. This is divine strategy, the cycle of mercy continuing through you. Before heaven releases you, it marks you. There is a moment of divine confirmation that seals every chosen vessel, a quiet act of agreement between you and the one who called you. This moment is now. Heaven is watching for your reply. Type the number 333 inches, the comments. This is not about trend or superstition, it is a declaration of covenant. 333 symbolise divine complétion, revelation, and the presence of the Trinity Father, Son, and Spirit working as one. When you type it, you are saying, "I am aligned with heaven's order. I am ready to be sent." It's a sign of surrender, a coded prayer, whispered through action. When you comment 333, imagine it as writing your name in heaven's ledger of purpose. It is your way of saying, "Use me." Heaven does not demand perfection, it asks for participation. You are not typing digits on a screen, you are responding to destiny's invitation. That small act becomes a thread in the fabric of God's unfolding plan, one that ties you to a movement greater than yourself. 333 is heaven's reminder that you are not alone in your mission. The Trinity surrounds you. Angels walk beside you, and the Spirit works through you. You carry divine backup wherever you go. Soon, you will sense new strength rising within an authority that feels peaceful, not proud. When you speak, your words will heal. When you move, your presence will bring clarity. The rescue that once saved you now multiplies through obedience. This is how heaven multiplies influence through vessels that once thought they were broken. You were never broken, you were being shaped. Every crack allowed more light to enter, and now that light is too bright to keep contained. So, take this moment and make it sacred. Let your comment be your covenant. Let your heart be your signature. The rescue has transformed into a mission. Heaven trusts you with what once terrified you. You are no longer a survivor. You are a messenger of the kingdom. Type 333, not out of pressure, but out of peace. Heaven reads it as agreement, and in that silent act, destiny unfolds. When you obey in small ways, heaven moves in great ones. What seems like a quiet moment on earth becomes thunder in the spirit, a ripple of obedience reaching eternity. And in that ripple, your story continues, not as one rescued, but as one released. Destiny unfolds gently, perfectly timed, written by the same hands that once carried you through fire. There comes a sacred moment after the rescue, and before the rising, a pause where heaven allows you to see what has truly changed. You stand between what was and what is becoming. The danger that once haunted you no longer holds authority. Yet the new life ahead still feels unfamiliar. In this in-between, God invites you to rest, to reflect, and to recognize His fingerprints on every chapter of your story. You begin to see how even your weakest moments carried divine meaning. Every detour was direction in disguise. The closed doors that once frustrated you were actually walls of mercy. The silence that once felt unbearable was heaven's protection against noise that could have destroyed your focus. What looked like delay was divine development. You weren't being forgotten, you were being formed. The Spirit of God begins to whisper reminders of identity. You realize that being chosen was never about perfection, it was about purpose. God does not call the flawless, He calls the faithful. You were never expected to be without error, only to remain willing to grow, willing to rise again, willing to trust even when you did not understand. That willingness is what separates the chosen from the comfortable. The Apostle Peter wrote in his first letter, chapter 5, verse 10, "And the God of all grace, who called you to His eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will Himself restore you and make you strong, firm and steadfast." You now stand inside that restoration. You feel your spirit mending in places you didn't know were fractured. The strength you carry no longer comes from striving, it comes from surrender. Every breath feels lighter, as though the weight you once called survival has turned into serenity. You are walking proof that God's grace repairs more gently than the world ever could. And yet, restoration is not only healing, it's recognition. You begin to see yourself differently. The person in the mirror carries the same face but a different fire. You no longer look like your old battles. The heaviness has lifted, replaced by quiet confidence. You've stopped asking why things happened and started thanking God that they did, because through every struggle, you gained something irreplaceable: wisdom. Wisdom doesn't always speak loudly. Sometimes it just adjusts your pace. It teaches you when to speak, when to stay silent, when to build, and when to wait. You've learned that not every opportunity is divine timing, and not every delay is denial. You now discern the difference between movement and progress, between noise and instruction. There's a calm awareness that follows revelation. You no longer feel the need to prove your faith. You simply live it. The anxiety that once chased you has lost its grip. The world still spins with noise, but you no longer bend with it. You walk like someone anchored, steady, deliberate, aware. You've stopped reacting to what's around you and started responding to what's within you. And slowly, you begin to see how restoration is not only about what you've regained, but also about what you've released. The bitterness that once disguised itself as strength is gone. The disappointment that once whispered, "You are forgotten," now echoes as, "You were being prepared." You've stopped carrying old offenses, not because they didn't hurt, but because peace became more valuable than pride. This is where restoration deepens into revelation. You start to realize that peace is not just something you feel, it's something you create. You have become a builder of calm in a chaotic world. Your words bring order. Your presence brings stability. The same peace that once rescued you now flows through you as rescue for others. You are not simply living, you are leading, even without trying. You begin to notice how your environment responds differently to you. The same situations that once overwhelmed you now bow before your composure. You don't need to fight for attention or approval anymore. You have learned that true authority does not demand, it demonstrates. People will feel your transformation before you ever have to explain it. In this stillness, heaven gives you something even greater than peace, clarity. You can finally see where you are going, not because every detail is revealed, but because you trust the direction. Faith has turned from a fragile hope into a confident knowing. You no longer ask, "Will God come through?" You simply say, "He already has." This is the calm after deliverance, the restoration after danger, the divine rhythm after the storm. Heaven has rewritten your story, not by erasing pain, but by filling it with purpose. You have learned that restoration is not a single miracle, it is a series of small, daily resurrections. And every morning you wake up in peace. Heaven whispers, "See, you made it." Deliverance is not a single miracle, it is a gradual unfolding. Freedom is not only the absence of chains, but the discovery of wings. You begin to see how everything you endured has shaped you into something entirely new. The fire you thought would consume you has refined you instead. Every scar, every moment of pain, has become a map leading back to purpose. You no longer view your past as punishment, but as preparation. The long nights of questioning, the tears that fell unseen, all of them were teaching you resilience. Heaven never wastes pain, it repurposes it. What once felt like breaking was actually bending you towards strength. The pressure was not cruelty, it was calibration. You were being measured for your mission. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 32, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." You are living that truth now. Freedom has moved from theory to reality. The chains that once defined your limits now hang as trophies of victory. You no longer walk as a victim of circumstance, but as a vessel of truth. That truth lives in your words, your choices, your silence, and your peace. True deliverance, you've learned, is not the absence of conflict, but the mastery of response. Temptation may still knock, but it finds no open door. Fear may whisper, but your heart no longer answers. The voices that once dictated your emotions now fade beneath the sound of faith. You have been rewired from within. Heaven has replaced panic with purpose, impulse with insight, and in this freedom, something deeper awakens compassion. You begin to look at others differently, even those who hurt you. The same mercy that lifted you now flows through you. You start to understand that the ones who wounded you were often acting from their own blindness. This revelation doesn't excuse their actions, but it releases their hold. Forgiveness becomes the final stage of deliverance, the release of resentment that once poisoned your peace. You start to feel the fullness of God's restoration. The areas of your life that were barren now begin to bloom. Joy feels natural again. Laughter no longer foreign. Even silence feels safe because you know heaven fills it. There's a subtle sense of beauty in everything now, even in scars, even in memories. You realize that redemption is not about erasing the past, but rewriting its meaning. Freedom becomes more than survival. It becomes stewardship. You understand that maintaining deliverance requires discipline, a daily agreement to choose truth over illusion, humility over pride, and peace over reaction. You guard your heart, not because it is fragile, but because it is powerful. Everything you carry now, wisdom, peace, revelation, flows from that guarded place. You see now how deliverance was never about escape. It was about empowerment. God didn't remove the fire. He made you fireproof. He didn't silence the storm. He taught you how to walk on its waves. Every time you stood, when fear told you to run, you trained your soul to trust. That trust is now your inheritance. This is the moment where heaven's intentions become visible. You understand that you were never being punished. You were being prepared. The trials were rehearsals for victory. The silence was heaven's way of teaching you to hear your own faith. You now move through life with a rhythm of peace that cannot be faked. It's in your voice, your patience, your presence. And when you look back, you no longer see chaos, you see choreography. Every wrong turn, every painful delay, every unanswered prayer formed a pattern only heaven could design. The danger that once surrounded you now stands behind you as a monument to God's precision. Deliverance has become your identity, not your event. The truth has indeed set you free, and in that freedom, you finally understand what it means to live whole, holy, and unshakably loved. Freedom now feels like breathing, steady, effortless, sacred. You no longer wait for peace. You carry it into every room. Your stillness unsettles darkness because calmness is now your authority. And the enemy no longer recognizes who you've become. Each morning feels like a second chance, wrapped in light. The air itself feels softer, as if creation knows you've remembered who you are. Heaven trusts you with peace that can't be shaken. You begin to understand that deliverance wasn't escape, it was initiation. You were not pulled from battle, you were promoted within it. Every hardship was training, every silence a secret rehearsal for strength. And when heaven looks upon you now, it sees reflection. You have become the evidence of grace fulfilled, the living continuation of redemption. Radiant, untamed, and completely whole in purpose. You stand now at the threshold of something vast. The danger has passed. The restoration has taken root, and heaven begins to expand your horizon. The stillness that once held you is now becoming a launching ground. You can feel it, the quiet hum of purpose rising again. You have not only survived, you have been transformed. But transformation is never meant to stay hidden. When God restores, He reveals. You are like a seed that has broken open. The shell of pain, fear, and doubt has fallen away. And new life is beginning to stretch toward the light. You have been planted deep, but not buried. What felt like darkness was preparation for growth. Now the soil trembles as destiny begins to push upward. As written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 3, nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. That is the next call, not to retreat into peace, but to radiate it. Your life itself has become a testimony. A story written in divine ink across the pages of time. Every breath you take is a verse. Every act of kindness, another line of scripture. Heaven's poetry is being lived through you. And in this living poem, your light is meant to travel. Every time you share your story, every time you speak encouragement, it is as though another lantern is lit in the distance. When you like this message, it is more than agreement. It's a heartbeat, a quiet signal sent upward that says, yes, this light matters. Keep it burning. And when you share, you become the wind that carries flame to those still standing in shadow. Somewhere, someone's hope flickers like a dying candle, and your simple gesture becomes their spark of endurance. You are not promoting words, you are passing warmth. The way one hand lights another in a cold night. When you subscribe, it is not about following, it is about returning. Like the rhythm of the tide that keeps kissing the shore. Your continued presence keeps this current of light alive. You are saying, I wish to stay close to the voice that reminds me who I am. When you comment, it's like carving your initials on a tree that shelters many a quiet mark of belonging. Your words become leaves that whisper, I was here, and I believe. Every message left here becomes part of a larger echo of hope. And if ever your heart feels moved to donate, do it the way a gardener waters roots quietly, lovingly, unseen but essential. Every drop becomes nourishment for messages yet to come, voices yet to awaken, souls yet to rise. You are not funding a project, you are feeding purpose. Every act of generosity keeps the oil flowing in heaven's lamps. All of this is voluntary, sacred, and beautiful. You are never asked out of demand, only invited through love. The beauty of light is that it cannot be owned. It only exists when shared. You are free to hold it, to release it, to nurture it in any way that peace allows. And as you engage, whether by a small click, a simple word, or a quiet gift, imagine ripples moving outward, a wave of grace, unseen but felt, reaching someone on the edge of surrender. The smallest motion of love has eternal consequence. Heaven counts not the size of your action, but the sincerity behind it. You are a keeper of flame, a carrier of comfort, a storyteller of grace. The light you've been given is not fragile, it's divine. It does not fade when shared, it multiplies. What you sustain now is not a message, it's a movement. Together, these small gestures become a bonfire of hope, stretching across hearts and nations. So, as you feel led, respond gently. Whether your heart whispers through a like, breathes through a share, writes a comment, returns through a subscription, or pours through a donation, let it be pure. Let it be your personal offering of gratitude, a sacred echo of thank you back to heaven. You are not just a listener, you are a part of the light itself. Without you, the sky would miss a star. Without your flame, the fire would lose warmth. Every response you make, seen or unseen, is worship in motion, faith made visible. And so the light continues, unforced, unending. You stand in it, shine through it, and send it forward free, willing, and radiant. Light travels farther when carried by willing hands. Each act of love you release becomes a beam guiding another soul toward remembrance, healing, and divine homecoming. And in that endless glow, heaven smiles. The flame continues unforced, alive, eternal, burning quietly in you, through you, and beyond you. Heaven's rhythm continues, slow and deliberate, shaping you into the fullness of what you were always meant to be. The journey of danger, rescue, and revelation has carved something permanent into your soul. You no longer move from fear or impulse, but from quiet certainty. Everything that once felt unstable now aligns beneath your feet. This is what divine maturity feels like, no longer chasing signs, but becoming one. You begin to understand that peace is not stillness, it's flow. It's movement, guided by purpose, steady as a river that knows exactly where it's headed. The same current that once carried you through storms now carries you through serenity. You are learning to live in divine rhythm, to act when heaven moves, and to rest when heaven waits. There is no longer a rush inside you. The hurry has been replaced by harmony. In this still, flowing awareness, God begins to speak again, but differently now. The words are fewer, the meanings deeper. He doesn't shout, he nudges. He doesn't command, he reminds. The communication between you and heaven has matured into understanding. You no longer need constant confirmation because you have cultivated trust. Trust has become your new language of faith. The Book of Psalms, chapter 46, verse 10, reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." That knowing has settled into your bones. It is no longer intellectual, it's instinctive. Even when questions come, they no longer disturb your peace. You have learned that uncertainty is not absence, it is invitation. Every unknown place has become an altar where your faith stands. Watch. You don't fear not knowing, you honor it, because it's the only soil where revelation can grow. You also begin to see the patterns of grace in everything around you, the timing of a sunrise, the rhythm of the seasons. Even the pauses in your breath, each one reflects divine order. You recognize that the same God who commands galaxies also choreographs your days. You are no longer lost in the scale of creation. You are part of its design. This realization brings humility, but also empowerment. You don't need to fight for importance when you understand that you were already chosen before time began. You start to walk lighter, speak gentler, and think clearer. The noise of the world can still reach your ears, but it can no longer reach your heart. You found the sacred middle space where heaven and earth meet inside your awareness. Even the memories that once pained you now serve as lessons engraved in grace. You look back and realize how every shadow taught you the shape of light. The valleys you crossed were never empty. They were classrooms for faith. You no longer resent them, you revere them. Each hardship is now a verse in your personal psalm, a melody of survival rewritten as strength. You find yourself caring more deeply for others, not because you pity them, but because you understand them. Compassion has replaced judgment. You can look at someone else's chaos and remember your own. That empathy becomes power. It allows your presence to bring comfort even when words fail. Heaven begins to trust you with new weight. Authority doesn't look like control anymore. It looks like calm. When you walk into rooms, peace follows. When you speak, people listen. Not to your volume, but to your vibration. You've become a conduit of clarity, a reminder that holiness is not distance, it's presence. You begin to realize that your transformation was never about escaping the world, but learning how to carry heaven into it. You have become a bridge, a living connection between divine purpose and human experience. Through you, others will sense that grace is possible, that order still exists in chaos, that God's voice is still near, and so you keep walking unhurried, unshaken. You are not waiting for a destination, you are walking as one. The same hands that pulled you from danger now guide you with tenderness. You don't just follow instructions anymore, you flow in relationship. Every decision becomes worship. Every breath becomes prayer. You are no longer defined by what you've overcome, but by what you've become. The journey has rewritten your identity. You are the calm after the storm, the living reflection of mercy fulfilled. Heaven doesn't just dwell above you, it dwells within you now. You walk onward, steady as sunrise. Every step hums with quiet certainty. Every breath testifies that peace has found a permanent home within you. And heaven watches, pleased. You are no longer just chosen, you are complete, carrying divine rhythm wherever your presence touches the earth. The journey nears its quiet conclusion, though it feels less like an ending and more like the continuation of something eternal. The road that once frightened you now feels familiar, sacred. You have walked through valleys of confusion, through storms of fear, through nights of silence, and yet, here you stand, whole, not untouched, but transformed. The same hands that guided you through danger now shape your days with purpose. You begin to see how every piece of your story fits together. The pain, the pauses, the prayers, all of them converge into a single truth. Nothing was wasted. The seasons that seemed barren were preparing the soil for this moment of abundance. You no longer carry bitterness about what didn't work out. You've learned to thank God for what ended, because endings made room for revelation. The book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, declares, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." End 12. That verse is no longer just comforting, it's confirmation. You can now trace the fingerprints of divine orchestration through every chapter of your life. What once felt chaotic now reveals order. What once felt broken now feels beautifully arranged. The orchestra of heaven has always been playing. You have simply learned to hear the melody. This awareness brings a new kind of freedom. You stop rushing to understand everything, because you trust that every thread of your story is being woven with wisdom. You've realized that purpose is not a destination, it's a posture. It's the way you carry yourself through life, unbothered by uncertainty, because your spirit is anchored in assurance. The days ahead no longer intimidate you. You wake each morning without fear of the unknown, because you have seen what God can do with uncertainty. Faith has become your instinct. You don't just believe in miracles, you walk in the residue of them. Every breath feels like evidence of survival. Every step, a continuation of grace. Your relationship with time has changed. You used to measure life by deadlines and delays. Now you measure it by divine timing. You no longer fear waiting, because waiting has proven itself holy. The pauses that once tested your patience have become places where heaven refines your perspective. You have learned that silence is not absence, it's alignment. Even your view of yourself has shifted. You no longer identify with what you lost, but with what you gained in the losing. You see your scars not as reminders of pain, but as proof of process. Each one glows faintly with the memory of redemption. You realize now that survival was grace, but wholeness, that was God's promise. There is a peace inside you, that no longer wavers with circumstance. It's not the peace of comfort, it's the peace of confidence. You no longer need to be certain of outcomes, because you are certain of God. That is maturity, not control, but trust, not explanation, but assurance. Heaven begins to whisper less often now, not because it's distant, but because you finally speak its language. The guidance that once felt external has become internal. You no longer ask, "God, are you there?" You know that He moves through every thought aligned with peace, every decision born of stillness. The separation between divine and human feels thinner than ever. You find yourself cherishing simplicity again, the sound of rain, the quiet of dawn, the laughter of someone you love. Holiness hides in these small things. You've discovered that God's presence doesn't always arrive in thunder. Sometimes it lingers in the ordinary. The sacred and the simple are no longer two worlds, they are one. And so you walk differently now, not with fear, but with reverence. You understand that life itself is worship, that breath itself is prayer. Every choice you make carries echo. Every word you speak shapes atmosphere. You've become mindful not because of pressure, but because of gratitude. The danger that once pursued you has turned into testimony behind you. The fear that once silenced you has become the rhythm of your courage. You've learned how to live unguarded, yet protected, humble, yet powerful, human, yet holy. There is no applause, no visible crown. Yet you know, heaven smiles. You have become the message, the living continuation of divine rescue. The same God who once found you in danger now finds you in peace, and that peace has become your offering back to Him. And when you look toward tomorrow, you no longer wonder if you'll make it. You already have. The journey continues. But this time, you walk as one who carries heaven's rhythm within. Every step you take is both prayer and promise, evidence that grace not only saves, but stays. And now, chosen one. The story breathes its final line, not as an ending, but as a benediction. You have walked through the storm, stood beneath the weight of silence, and risen into the sunlight of understanding. What began as danger has become destiny. The words that once warned now bless. The voice that once called now rests within you. But before you go, take a moment to honor the journey. Every time you like these words, it's more than agreement. It's a pulse of gratitude. A soft Amen whispered back to heaven for what has been spoken. Each small touch becomes a flicker of light that tells the universe, this truth reached me. None. When you share, you become a messenger. It's like sending a lantern down a quiet river. Your act of generosity becomes guidance for someone else still adrift in shadow. You are not promoting, you are passing light. And if you choose to comment, even a few simple words, it's as though you're leaving footprints on sacred ground. Your voice joins a chorus of stories, proof that none of us walked alone through the dark. Your words might become the bridge another soul needs to cross. When you subscribe, you are not following, you are returning home. It's the way a bird circles back to its sky, choosing to remain where peace resides. It's how you stay connected to this rhythm of grace that continues to unfold beyond this moment. And if your heart ever stirs to donate, let it be like rain returning to the sea, quiet, natural, and free. You are not giving to a cause, you are completing a circle. Your act becomes a sustaining breath that ensures this light continues to travel far beyond sight. So as you close your eyes, remember, light was never meant to be owned. It was meant to move from word to heart, from heart to world. Let it move through you now. The story lives on because you carry it. The flame remains because you keep it alive. And the world changes quietly because you chose to believe.